Welcome to a new video from Hebrew Hawaiian Productions, Where is the Tower of Babel? There's much mystery surrounding this sacred building, and scholars have tended to consider it would only be located in where modern-day Babylon is, Baghdad. However, in this video, I would like you to open your mind a bit and consider that it is not where scholars have pointed to in the Middle East. It is much further east, and I'll prove this location. It's an exciting study. Let's begin with a map that may not be 100% correct of our cosmos, but it shows some interesting facts about the location that I will be describing. As you can see here on this map, the North Pole is at the top and is 6,666 kilometers distance from the particular mountain called Mount Kailash, or Kailasa to the natives. Another word for it is Gang Rinpoche, which means crystal, or precious one, precious jewel. Precious Snow Mountain, Kangri Rinpoche, is another name for it. It's also known as Tisei Mountain, which is Water Peak, and to Buddhists it is known as Mount Meru. You can also see Stonehenge is 6,666 kilometers to the northwest. The Sphinx in Egypt gazes directly toward Mount Kailash and is connected underground to the Busegi Mountains in Romania by underground tunnels, to Baghdad, which is what modern-day Babylon is called, as well as Antarctica. So the underground tunnels, we can't see those in visual, but this map you can kind of get an idea of all the places that are connected to this particular mountain in Tibet. Another fact that I've documented on this map is the distance from Mount Kailash to Antarctica is 6,666 kilometers times 2. Its nickname is also affectionately known as the Stairway to Heaven. I first became interested in locating this massive building after reading in the English translation of the pseudepigraphal work, the Book of Hayasher, also known as the Book of Jasher, that states, "It still stands to this day," and this is describing the Tower of Babel. Scholars who, in so many words, claim its location is in or near Baghdad do not do their homework, because the ancient buildings there are beautiful, but nothing even close to the height and size a tower that claimed to reach the heavens, or the firmament dome for that matter. Their consensus, it must have been completely destroyed. In this study, I will begin with an interesting article published in 2017 with findings by a team of Russian scientists who discovered that a certain mountain in Tibet was not a natural mountain at all, but a pyramid-like structure. This article is called "When a Russian Doctor Tried to Crack the Mystery of the Abode of Lord Shiva" by A.J. Kamalakaran, published February 24th, 2017 in Russia Beyond. No human has managed to scale Mount Kailash. There have been many legends of people dying in the attempt to climb the mountain. The Chinese authorities, knowing the religious sensitivity of the matter, have officially banned alpinists from attempting a climb. Russians, like Indians, have been fascinated with the mountain for a long time. Nicholas Roerich wrote about Mount Kailash, and one of his famous paintings portrays the path to the mountain. There are several legends about Russian climbers in the 19th and early 20th centuries trying to scale the mountain and vanishing. A Siberian mountaineer once told about a group of climbers who climbed beyond a particular point and suddenly aged by a few decades. According to this story, they died of old age a year later. Roerich believed in the existence of a mystical kingdom called Shambhala in the vicinity of Mount Kailash. Some Hindu sects refer to Shambhala as Kapapa and believe that perfect people reside there. In 1999, Russian ophthalmologist Ernst Moldashev decided to go on an expedition to Tibet to try and discover the secrets of Mount Kailash. His team comprised of experts in geology, physics, and history. The team met several Tibetan lamas and spent several months around the foot of the sacred mountain. Moldashev's team came to the conclusion that Mount Kailash is actually a massive man-made pyramid that was built in ancient times. He claimed that it was surrounded by many smaller pyramids and could be the center of all paranormal activities. In the silence of the night, there were often strange gasping sounds in the belly of the mountain, Moldashev wrote in an academic paper. One night, both my colleagues and I distinctly heard the noise of a falling stone that undoubtedly came from the interior of the mountain. He suggested some beings lived inside the pyramid. In Tibetan texts, it is written that Shambhala is a spiritual country that is located in the northwest of Kailash, Moldashev wrote. It is hard for me to discuss this topic from a scientific point of view, but I can quite positively say Kailash complex is directly related to life on Earth. And when we did a schematic map of the city of the gods, consisting of pyramids and stone mirrors, we were very surprised. The scheme was similar to the spatial structure of DNA molecules. Mohan Bhatt, a Sanskrit scholar based in Mumbai, says the Ramayana also refers to the sacred mountain as a pyramid. There are also references to the mountain in the Vedas, he adds. The ancient texts refer to the mountain as a cosmic axis, he says. Moldashev believes that the pyramids were built by ancient and advanced people who knew about the laws of subtle energy. He wrote that the mountain is the most important part of a system of ancient monumental structures and is directly connected with the main pyramids of the earth, such as the pyramids of Giza and Teotihuacan. As perplexing as those facts may be, there is more. Perhaps the most compelling evidence for this uncommon mountain possessing a mystical distinction lies within its precise mathematical alignment with other landmark sites of the Earth. The distance of Mount Kailash from North Pole, as we already covered, is almost exactly 6,666 kilometers. Its distance from the Stonehenge monument, we've also covered this, is nearly precise 6,666 kilometers. The odds of this being a random coincidence are nearly zero. As if those distance attributes are not astonishing enough, and we covered this also, the distance of Mount Kailash from the South Pole is 13,332 kilometers, which is exactly double its distance from the North Pole. Additionally, the Mount Kailash peak, or the pyramid, has 4 distinct faces that are direct aspect of the 4 cardinal directions of the compass. Assuming this incredible mountain and/or its top had been man-made, it seems completely plausible, if not glaringly obvious, that someone or some people were very concerned. There are some inexplicable facts regarding this enigmatic mountain shrouded in legend. People who visit and spend 12 hours in the immediate surrounding area experience rapid aging. The growth of nails and hair is equal to 2 weeks in normal conditions. In correlation, that breaks down to 28 times faster hair and nail growth as compared to living within everyday conventional environments. The mountain changes its target in the opposite position regularly, which makes it impossible to climb and conquer its peak. This mountain seems to have a mind of its own and appears to resist climbers by enforcing strange energies. Those who've endeavored to ascend it have always needed to give up. All expeditions have thus far failed to reach its summit. Health issues, general disorientation, and sudden changes in weather have also been reported to vanquish motivated climbers as well. Sadly, some climbers have never returned at all. Next, I have a map to share with you of the Empire of Shinar. And you can see by looking at these pictures of this map that Shinar extended all the way to Tibet on the east side, through China, south to India, and then west all the way to Israel. So this was the Empire of Shinar, the plains of Shinar, and the mountains of Ararat, what we now call the Himalayas, is where the Ark landed, where Noah's Ark landed, not in Turkey. The people migrated from the east, not towards the east. These were not named until after the flood. Now here's the account that we get in Genesis chapter 11. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they all have one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore it is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Now I'm going to read an excerpt from the book of Jubilees, chapter 10, verse 18, the same account. And in the 33rd Jubilee, in the first year, in the second week, Peleg took to himself a wife, whose name was Loma, the daughter of Sina'ar. And she bare him a son in the 4th year of this week, and he called his name Reu. For he said, Behold, the children of men have become evil through the wicked purpose of building for themselves a city and a tower in the land of Shinar. For they departed from the land of Ararat eastward to Shinar. For in his days they built the city and the tower, saying, Go to, let us ascend thereby into heaven. And they began to build, and in the 4th week they made brick with fire, and the bricks served them for stone, and the clay with which they cemented them together was asphalt, which comes out of the sea, and out of the fountains of water in the land of Shinar. And they built it. 43 years were they building it. The breadth was 203 bricks. The height of a brick was the third of one. Its height amounted to 5,433 cubits and 2 palms. And the extent of one wall was 13 stades, and of the other 30 stades. And the Lord our God said unto us, Behold, they are one people, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be withholden from them. Go to, let us go down, and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, and they may be dispersed into cities and nations, and one purpose will no longer abide with them till the day of judgment. And the Lord descended, and we descended with him, this is the angels, to see the city and the tower which the children of men had built. He confounded their language, they no longer understood one another's speech, and they ceased then to build the city and the tower. This is the part I wanted to focus on. For this reason, the whole land of Shinar is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound all the language of the children of men, and from thence they were dispersed into their cities, each according to his language and his nation. And the Lord sent a mighty wind against the tower, and overthrew it upon the earth. And behold, it was between Ashur and Babylon in the land of Shinar, and they called its name Overthrow. In the 4th week, in the 1st year, in the beginning thereof, in the 4th and 30th Jubilee, were they dispersed from the land of Shinar. Now take a look at this little diagram I have here. This is an illustration of what Jubilees was describing when in verse 20, where it says, Out of the fountains of water in the land of Shinar. The clay was with which they cemented them together was asphalt, which comes out of the sea. So that gives us a little clue that they would have to have a freshwater lake and a saltwater lake nearby, or the ocean. And as you can see here, Mount Kailash fits it again with a both freshwater and a saltwater lake within a mile or two of this particular mountain. Next, I'm going to read the account from the book of Hayasher, also known as the book of Jasher, which piqued my interest in this topic in the first place. This is Yasher chapter 9, verse 23. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, and they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and the tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days' walk, and they journeyed there, and they dwelt there. And they began to make bricks and burn fires to build the city and the tower that they had imagined to complete. And the building of the tower was unto them a transgression and a sin. And they began to build it, and while they were building against the Lord God of heaven, they imagined in their hearts to war against him and to ascend into heaven. And all these people and all the families divided themselves in 3 parts. The first said, "We will ascend into heaven and fight against him." The second said, "We will ascend into heaven and place our own gods there and serve them." And the third part said, "We will ascend to heaven and smite him with bows and spears." And God knew all their works and all their evil thoughts, and he saw the city and the tower which they were building. And when they were building, they built themselves a great city and a very high and strong tower. And on account of its height, the mortar and bricks did not reach the builders in their ascent to it, until those who went up had completed a full year. And after that they reached to the builders and gave them mortar and the bricks. Thus was it done daily. And behold, these ascended, and others descended the whole day. And if a brick should fall from their hands and get broken, they would all weep over it. And if a man fell and died, none of them would look at him. And I'm continuing with verse 35. And the Lord smote the 3 divisions that were there, and he punished them according to their works and designs. Those who said, "We will ascend to heaven and serve our gods," became like apes and elephants. And those who said, "We will smite the heaven with arrows," the Lord killed them, one man through the hand of his neighbor. And the 3rd division of those who said, "We will ascend to heaven and fight against him," the Lord scattered them throughout the earth. And those who were left amongst them, when they knew and understood the evil which was coming upon them, they forsook the building, and they also became scattered upon the face of the whole earth. And they ceased building the city and the tower. Therefore he called that place Babel. For there the Lord confounded the language of the whole earth. Behold, it was at the east of the land of Shinar. And as to the tower which the sons of men built, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part thereof. And a fire also descended from heaven, and burned another third. And the other third is left to this day. And it is of that part which was aloft, and its circumference is 3 days' walk. And many of the sons of men died in that tower, a people without number. All right, we're focusing on the part that says 1/3 is left to this day. And it is of that part which was aloft. So this was the top third of the tower, the peak, the capstone area, I guess you could call it. And its circumference is 3 days' walk. So let's take a wild guess at how many days it takes to walk around what we call Mount Kailash today. Mount Kailash is the holy mountain of 4 major religions in the area. The ones that I've heard of before are Hindus and Buddhists, and there's 2 other major ones, and the people who practice these religions consider it an honor to go to Mount Kailash and make it a holy pilgrimage to walk around this particular mountain, and it's a 3-day journey. So looking at this account from Yashar, verse 38, the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up 1/3 part thereof. Now take a look at this picture. The bottom of this mountain, this is Mount Kailash, or we could call it a pyramid. It's already been debunked as being a mountain. It's definitely a man-made structure. You can even see the brick lines, and it looks like even a stairway to heaven up in the top part. Doesn't it look like it's possible the earth would have swallowed up the bottom part and we're only seeing the top part left today? I also think it's ironic that the largest concentration of people on earth still remain in this area. This is near China, Nepal, India. The largest concentration of inhabitants in the earth live very nearby where this occurred. Also, I believe it's no accident that when the Most High decided to give out punishments to these people, one of their groups became like apes and elephants. And guess where the highest concentration of apes and elephants today is located, besides in the continent of Africa? It's near Nepal, India. This topic is very pertinent to the end times, and as we have climate change occurring now, we know that the temperatures on Earth overall will be getting warmer and warmer, and it's especially concentrated in this area that they have reported that the snow is melting 3 times faster than usual on the Himalayan mountain range, which Mount Kailash and Mount Everest are both a part. I thank you for joining me for this study, and don't forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please do so, and we'll see you for the next video.